Do you have to film yourself by yourself? Hello world, my name is Matt Spa, and I make videos of other people for money in Atlanta, Georgia. But I also make videos of myself, and sometimes I have help, but more often than not, I don't, and that can pose some problems. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the one piece of gear, or maybe technique, that I have found absolutely indispensable when it comes to getting the shots I want without going nuts in the process. If you're a regular visitor to my channel, welcome back. If you're new here, I mostly make photo and video-centric content, gear and tutorials and whatnot, but my channel tends to be a mixed bag of just whatever I feel like sharing on any given day. So if you want to come along for the ride, I hope you'll consider subscribing. The one thing that has helped me immensely when filming myself alone is a video transmitter. Most modern camera manufacturers have apps that will do the same thing if a transmitter is not in your budget, but those are usually terrible, so I tend to opt for the outboard transmitter. A couple of years back, I did a video covering the Axoon Cinei HE, which was the first one of these that I ever used, and I loved it, and I spent an absurd amount of time filming all the screens, and I had fancy lighting and camera movement, and then a very few months later, they discontinued that model, so no one wanted to watch my video anymore, and I was kind of bummed. So I am not going to go in depth on the specific unit, but for what it's worth, I use the Cinei HE, which I think is what replaced the Cinei HE that I had covered in my previous video. And it's not exactly cheap, but it's really nice, and it's well built, and I have found it to be really reliable and have a long range, and I like it a lot. Typically, I power it with a Sony style NPF battery. I use the little 550s, but you can also power it with DC power or with 5 volt via USB-C. Video input is full-size HDMI, which I like, and it also has a full-size HDMI output in case I need to put other gear downstream from it. It comes with a cold shoe adapter, and it has a 1/4-20 tap on the bottom that has a couple of area locating pins, which is a nice little touch. The setup is pretty simple. You turn it on, it creates a network that you can then access using an app on your phone or an iPad or any dedicated receiver that Axoon makes to send signal to any monitor that has an HDMI input. With all that done, you can go wherever you need to go to frame up your shot or block out movement or set your slider travel. On this shot, I wanted to keep my body as centered in the frame as possible, but when I did it, I was too lazy to go back to the studio and get my transmitter, so I'd do a take, I'd climb out from under the car, check my footage to see what I did wrong, and then try to remember what it was I did wrong and fix it, and I did that over and over until my frustration mounted to a point that I needed to just do things properly and get on with my life. 5 minutes later, I had my transmitter plugged in, I set my iPad under the car, did 4 or 5 takes in one shot while watching the screen, and I was done. It's also great on location interviews where I need to cobble together some set dressing from just whatever I can find around somebody's office. Once I decide where to position my subject, I get my camera framing set, and then I carry my phone around while I arrange plants or furniture or adjust blinds or bookcases or whatever. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that cumulatively, this has saved me hours of time in situations where time is a pretty precious commodity. Once I'm all set up, I bounce that signal to an iPad that I usually have on a light stand, and then I have a larger monitor for myself or for clients to use. With this unit, you can send signal to up to 4 devices at a time, and that's super handy. If you do end up with an Axoon unit, the app is very full-featured. Histograms, waveforms, zebras, false color. There's grids, overlays, markers. You can load LUTs and de-squeeze anamorphic footage. It's pretty crazy. I would imagine that pretty much anybody that's manufacturing one of these has a full-featured app like that, but I haven't used them, so I can only speak to this one. And that's pretty much it. I hope this has been helpful. There's nothing really earth-shattering here, but if you're frustrated with filming yourself or you need to cut down on your setup time, maybe give this a shot. I know for me, it's definitely upped the quality of my finished product, and it's reduced my stress level during the process. So that's all good stuff. If you've got any great solo filming tips, please drop them in the comments. I love to hear from my viewers, and I thank you so much for watching.